Good evening, and thank you for joining tonight's telephone town hall meeting hosted by the Colorado Department of Transportation, also known as CDOT, for a discussion about your transportation plan, a statewide transportation planning effort. Now, before we get started, I want to tell you to accompany tonight's call, we have prepared a slide presentation that can be viewed on CDOT's YouTube page. So if you have access and can log on to tinyurl.cc, tiny.cc/CDOTTTH. So that's tiny.cc/CDOT-TTH for telephone town hall. And I'll repeat that in a minute if you haven't had a chance to access your computer. My name is Roger, and I'll be your moderator tonight as we talk about transportation in the Transportation Commission District 9, which includes El Paso, Fremont, Park, and Teller counties. Our panel members tonight include Transportation Commissioner Hannah Parsons and the CDOT Regional Transportation Director for Southeast Colorado, Shane Ferguson. Before we begin with our introductions by Herman Stockinger, who is CDOT's Deputy Executive Director, I want to take just a moment to tell you about the format for tonight's interactive call. We want to hear from you, so if you would like to ask a question, please press *3 on your telephone keypad, and you will be transferred to an operator who will take down some basic information. Once the operator notes your information, you'll be returned to the call and can listen to the conversation until you are called upon. So press *3 on your keypad to ask a question. Since we'd like to hear from as many people as possible, we'll ask you to limit yourself to just one question, and when it's your turn, I'll call your name and ask you to repeat it for our live audience. Finally, we'll be asking 4 important polling questions later during the call, and I'll explain the process to you in a few minutes. So again, if you want to watch and follow along the presentation, go to YouTube and visit the CDOT page, and that direct URL is tiny.cc/CDOTTTH. So before we get to your questions and introduce the rest of our panelists, I'd like to turn it over to Deputy Director Stockinger for some opening remarks. Go ahead.
Thanks, Roger. I'm Herman Stockinger, CDOT Deputy Executive Director. Every 4 years, CDOT reviews Colorado's transportation needs and creates a plan to guide investments, and we need your help. Our transportation dollars are limited, and with a state as large and diverse as Colorado, we want your feedback on CDOT's priorities and how to best distribute our limited resources. CDOT's first priority is to fix our roads. We know potholes won't fix themselves, and that safer, smoother roads mean fewer accidents, lower repair bills, and a better quality of life. Our second priority is advancing transportation safety. Everybody deserves to get home safely, whether by driving, walking, biking, or riding transit. Transportation safety isn't optional, it's essential. Our third priority is to sustainably increase transportation choice. This means ensuring people have transportation options to get where they need to go. And the more ways we can move people without a car, the cleaner air we all breathe. CDOT is taking an aggressive approach to address the condition and quality of our roadway pavement and other transportation assets. This citizen-informed transportation planning approach will produce smarter investment priorities based on what Coloradans need today and position our state for the future, reflecting the wisdom that you bring to the conversation. CDOT understands that every part of Colorado has unique qualities, and this telephone town hall is all about listening to you. So let us know what's working well and what we can improve. We all are looking forward to hearing your questions and comments, so please don't forget, press *3 to get in the queue. Roger, back to you.
No problem.
All right, whoops. We were muted, so let me repeat that. Thank you, Herman. Now it's time for our panelists to briefly introduce themselves. So let's start with Commissioner Hannah Parsons. Go ahead.
Thank you, Roger. This is Transportation Commissioner Hannah Parsons. I've been a Colorado Transportation Commissioner since August 2023, serving District 9, which includes El Paso, Fremont, Park, and Teller counties. The Transportation Commission of Colorado makes policy for the management, construction, and maintenance of public highways and other transportation systems in Colorado. I feel really fortunate to represent the areas in which I live, work, and play, and I'm really looking forward to the call tonight and hearing from as many of you as possible. And so with that, I'm going to let Shane Ferguson, our RTD for Region 2, introduce himself. But as a reminder, please press *3 to join the queue and ask a question. We thank you. Shane.
Anna. Good evening. I've been with the Regional Transportation Director since December of 2022, and with CDOT for the last 13 years, working my way up from design engineer to resident engineer to program engineer, and now RTD. Region 2 covers 14 counties in the southeast and central Front Range of Colorado. As Regional Director, I'm committed daily to, number one, our team who ensures our highways are maintained and rehabilitated for the safety of our traveling public. Two, our traveling public. Our mission is to enhance the quality of life and environment for the citizens of Colorado with an integrated transportation system that safely moves people and goods. And third, stewardship of our money and tools provided by you, the public, to our team. I'm excited to be on today's call and have the opportunity to respond to these questions. Please press *3 to join the queue and ask a question.
All right. Thank you, everyone. We are looking forward to tonight's discussion and to answering your questions. This call is all about listening to you and harnessing the wisdom you all bring to the conversation. To get us started, let's ask our first polling question about CDOT's priority to fix our roads. Fixing our roads means prioritizing strategic investments in Colorado's highways to improve infrastructure conditions. It's easy to participate. All you have to do is use your telephone keypad to enter the number of your response. So here's our first question. What is your biggest concern with the current condition of our roads? Press 1 for potholes and surface damage. Press 2 for lack of maintenance or repaving. Press 3 for poor bridge conditions. Press 4 for none of the above. So again, 1 for potholes and surface damage, 2 lack of maintenance or repaving, 3 poor bridge conditions, and 4 none of the above. Go ahead and record your vote now, and we will share the polling results in just a moment. And while you are voting, as a reminder, press *3 if you'd like to ask a question. Now let's turn it over to Commissioner Parsons. Would you tell us a little bit more about what challenges and accomplishments are happening in your area?
Absolutely. Thank you, Roger. El Paso, Fremont, Park, and Teller counties encompass just over 6,400 square miles of the Central Front Range of Colorado, including the Pikes Peak region, with a population of over 820,000. By 2050, that population will surge to 1.1 million people. Within these 4 counties, CDOT and the Transportation Commission collaborate with 20 local agencies. So in response to this growth in our unique transportation needs, CDOT has completed several projects over the last 5 years and have several more under construction. And I don't want to take too much time going over those because we want to allow time for your questions. So I'll just mention a couple that are ongoing right now and that got started. So for one, I-25 paving and mobility on Fillmore Street to Garden of the Gods Road is currently underway. That project will enhance safety for Colorado's traveling public by adding acceleration and deceleration lanes from Fillmore Street to Garden of the Gods Road and will replace the aging bridge there over Elston Street. A project that just started this season is the resurfacing of US 285 south of Bailey to Jefferson County line. That project area spans from Bailey near the Jefferson County line to Pine Junction and consists of resurfacing US 285 and the on and off ramps at County Road 72, along with adding a turn lane on northbound US 285 and onto County Road 64A. So there's progress being made. We could talk more about what projects are ongoing and getting started, but we know there's still a lot that needs to happen and a lot of projects that need to be addressed, and that's why your feedback is so critical today. So with that, I'll turn it back over to Roger.
All right. Thank you so much, Commissioner Parsons. Again, if you have a question, press *3 on your phone to connect with an operator. Here are the results of our first survey question. And we asked, what was your biggest concern with the current condition of our roads? 51% said potholes and surface damage. 31% said lack of maintenance or repaving. And 9% said poor bridges poor bridge condition, and another 9% said none of the above. We appreciate your responses, and we've got some more questions here shortly. In fact, we're going to go right to one. We heard from the Commissioner about a number of completed and planned projects, many of which are focused on safety. Now let's ask another polling question about safety. Remember, to participate, all you have to do is enter the number of your response on your telephone keypad. And here's that question. Our next question about CDOT's priority to advance safety, transportation safety. This means no matter where you are going or how you're getting there, Colorado is committed to providing you a safe and efficient transportation network so you arrive at your destination safely. So here's that question. What is your biggest safety concern? Press 1 for speeding or reckless driving. Press 2 for lack of sidewalks, bike lanes, or unsafe access to public transportation. Press 3 for dangerous intersections or crosswalks. Press 4 for winter weather driving. And press 5 for wildlife collisions. So let me repeat those really quick. Press 1 for speeding or reckless driving, 2 for lack of sidewalks, bike lanes, or unsafe access to public transportation, 3 for dangerous intersections or crosswalks, 4 for winter weather driving, and 5 for wildlife collisions. Again, record your answer now. We'll share the results with you in just a moment. And again, star 3 if you'd like to get in the queue to ask a question, which we are going to go to our first question right now from Eduardo. Eduardo, you're live. Go right ahead.
Does Fort Carson contribute to our potholes, to our roads? Let's put it that way, including our freeways in Colorado Springs and Fountain.
Hi, Eduardo. My name is Shane Ferguson. I'm the region director here. Absolutely. So we have a great collaboration and coordination effort with Fort Carson. We know the value and just how much revenue, as well as just the safety our soldiers provide us in our communities, and really value just that collaboration and coordination. As far as actual funding from Fort Carson, not directly with them. Obviously, we get a lot of our funding from state revenue taxes and federal taxes, but when it comes to our collaboration and working with Fort Carson, it's definitely more of working with them in coordination on projects such as the MAMSIT project that we are finishing up, which is the Mobility and Access Safety Improvement Project on I-25, and a number of other projects that we did around that base. And so that's really our biggest contributor and efforts with Fort Carson is just that strong collaboration and coordination we work with them.
Thank you, sir. Let's go next to Judy. Judy, you are live with our audience. Go ahead.
I want to thank you guys. I work my way around your construction workers who are fixing cracks in the street over on Uinta and trying to, I hope, improve access and entrance on number 43 off of Uinta onto I-25. And I appreciate them. I would love to see a little more warning that there are live human beings on the edge of the highway over Uinta Hill, just for their own safety, and also over 17th, south of Uinta. Thank you.
Absolutely. And, safety, not only for the traveling public, but definitely for our workers and our men and women that are out there on our highways constructing these projects is paramount. We definitely have a system in place and utilize our signing and our overhead electric signing and any efforts we can, as well as communicating through our media and through the internet and through our web pages that we have, just to advise and warn individuals and folks that are traveling long along our corridors, just the importance of slowing down and being very aware and staying off of distracted telephones, etc. It's important that we take our men and women that are working along the side of the roads very seriously. They do a great service for our communities, and it is paramount that the traveling public be very, very aware and slow down through the work zones. Thank you.
All right, let's go to Justin next. Justin, go ahead.
Hey, this is more of a comment than a question, and it's in reference to the snow management, particularly laying down sand on our roadways. There needs to be a balancing act between the destructive use of the sand and preventing accidents. And I think you guys have just been way overusing this stuff. I've had a vehicle basically, the paint all stripped, basically sandblasted. All my windshields have to be replaced. I just replaced the windshield last year. It's got to be replaced again. All my cars need it. So that's my frustration, is just the overuse of the sand.
Definitely understand the frustration. Sand is used in abrasive just for traction, and we do use liquid de-icer to help melt the ice. Liquid de-ice is very, very temperature dependent, and there's definitely times where we cannot utilize it in those extremely cold weather temperatures. But we definitely understand just some of the challenges living in Colorado and dealing with our changing weather patterns and dealing with the ice on the roads that can happen almost instantaneously is very, very challenging. So definitely understand where you're coming from, but we do have to mix and utilize both sand and de-icer from time to time. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Let's go to one more question. We'll hear from Lisa next. Lisa, go ahead.
Hi there. To the area. I've lived in Colorado Springs for a year now, and I commute every day to Denver Airport. I'm actually helping take care of my nephew that got medically retired from the military, so I do the drive to work every day, and it's concerning to me that the people that are driving on these roads have no license plates, no trip permits. Half of them have bumpers hanging off, front end, rear end damage, and they don't get pulled over, but yet we're all expected to carry insurance, and half these people don't. Their trip permits are expired by a few years, or they don't have any identifying marks on their vehicle. I'm just wondering, wouldn't that help if they were getting pulled over to help the revenue, to help the roads, and to support the potholes and all of the maintenance that needs to be done?
Hi, Lisa. This is Hannah Parsons. Yes, I echo your concerns on this issue, and I think it's one that we've seen raised across the state. And I actually will maybe have to get back to you on it, but there is legislation active at the Capitol right now, even talking about this issue. But there definitely is a push within local law enforcement and state law enforcement to increase the enforcement of vehicle registration. So you're not alone. We're all seeing it, and there's definitely a statewide push to increase enforcement on that area. I'll let see if Shane, did you want to add anything to that answer?
No, I think that is exactly correct, and definitely understand your frustrations. It does take a collaboration and cooperation between our agency and Colorado State Patrol, and they are being active. And I think there was even a recent campaign push for registrations, not only with Colorado State Patrol, but also within our local municipality.
All right, thank you. Good questions to start off with. We'll get back to more questions in just a few minutes. For those of you just joining the call, good evening. I'm Roger, and I'm your moderator tonight as we are talking about your transportation plan, Colorado's statewide transportation planning effort, with Transportation Commissioner Hannah Parsons and CDOT Regional Transportation Director for the Southeast Colorado area of Colorado, Shane Ferguson. You can participate in the discussion by pressing 3 on your keypad. You'll be transferred to an operator who will take down some basic information and get you in the queue. So again, *3. Before I turn the call back over to Director Ferguson, here are the results of our second polling question. Again, we asked, what is your biggest safety concern? 40% of you said speeding and reckless driving. 22% said lack of sidewalks, bike lanes, or access to public transit, and 21% said dangerous intersections or crosswalks. 10% said winter weather, and 6% said wildlife collisions. Thanks for participating in that poll. We'll have two more coming up. And Shane, would you tell us a little more about progress and challenges for this area?
Absolutely. CDOT, in close coordination with Pikes Peak Area Council of Governments and the Central Front Range Transportation Planning, region cities and counties strive to continue to develop a regional transportation system that is well connected, serves all modes of travel, and is safe, reliable, and well maintained. Our region is a diverse network of vibrant, connected communities with a broad spectrum of housing, transportation, and employment, complemented by a world-class natural environment and built environment as well. The foundation of a sustainable and resilient economy relies heavily on an efficient and well-connected transportation system, where all residents have access to a range of transportation options, and investments in infrastructure allow people and businesses to thrive and prosper. Employment is estimated to continue to rise for our region, along with an increased number of both people and the movement of goods and services. Having a safe and efficient transportation system continues to be critical. In fact, by 2050, the population will grow by nearly 300,000 people, primarily here in El Paso County. The anticipated growth requires CDOT to take a serious look at providing the traveling public with more transportation options. Through this planning effort, we have to keep all of these factors in mind as we talk about the needs. And you, the traveling public, are very critical in this conversation.
All right. Thank you very much. We will get back to more questions in a few minutes, but we're going to take our third polling question next. Remember, to participate, use your phone to enter the number of your response. Another of CDOT's main goals is to sustainably increase transportation choice, which means providing alternatives to single occupancy vehicle travel that increase choices and reduce air pollution from transportation. Here is the question then. What transportation options would you like to see more of? Press 1 for public transit, that's buses, trains, etc. Press 2 for walking or biking infrastructure. Press 3 for rideshare or micro-trans, so that's things like on-demand shuttles. Press 4 for safer or more accessible streets for people with disabilities, and press 5 for none. I prefer driving. So 1 for public transit, 2 walking and biking, 3 rideshare or microtransit, 4 safer or more accessible streets, and 5 for I prefer driving. If you'd like to ask a question and give feedback about what sustainably increasing transportation choices means to you, press star 3. Go ahead and record your vote, and we'll share the results to you in just a minute. This might be a good time to remind you that if you don't want to speak with the operator, and you need to leave the call early, you can still leave us a message by pressing star 9. So again, star 3 to ask a question live, or star 9 to leave the call and leave a voice message. Now let's get to some more questions, and we're going to go first to Anna. Anna, go ahead.
Hi. Hi, everyone. Roger, Hannah, Shane. I hope everyone's doing well tonight. Thank you guys for holding this talk for everyone and the opportunity. I was just wondering what plans are on the table as we grow and more people come in. What do we have planned, or what has been talked about to help assist with like public transportation and with that increase? And then those that are coming in that don't necessarily drive. Both of my brothers are legally blind. They use the bus and stuff. So like, what is on the table for us in regards to that?
Anna, thank you for the question. This is Hannah Parsons. Colorado is really doing a lot to continue to increase investment in transit as a state. Most recently, through Senate Bill 24230, was last year's legislation, and that's going to provide around $80 million each year in transit grants alone to transit agencies around the state. So again, the state has some of the things that we provide, like CDOT's own bus staying service, which we doubled that service last year on the Denver to Colorado Springs route. So that's more of the, in between cities. And then we're currently assessing potential improvements for the rural bus staying, which is the Outrider service. So that currently has a route from Lamar to Colorado Springs through the Transit Connection Study. So one of the things I'll just mention is because a lot of the grants from the state, or the state funding, is granted out to the local transit agencies, it's really good to get involved with your local transit agency and find out what's on their kind of planning list, because that feeds kind of what we do, and then CDOT is trying to help provide funding to make some of their projects a reality. So we're in this transit connection study right now. So I don't know if we're in Colorado Springs on it. Looks like maybe, and so Colorado Springs has some really good input that they're providing to CDOT on their transit, for us to put into our bigger transit connection study. So that's how we try to help local agencies as well in the public transit.
Thank you, Commissioner. Here are the results of our third polling question. Again, we asked, what transportation options would you like to see more of? 35% said public transit. 36% said none, I prefer driving. 13% said walking and biking infrastructure. 9% prefer rideshare or microtransit. And 7% of you prefer safer or more accessible streets for people with disabilities. Let's get back to questions, and we're going to hear from Al next. Go ahead, Al.
For holding this town meeting. My concern is the population growth in southern Colorado. You have Mark Shuffle, Powers. The traffic has seemed like it's more than doubled since the 30 years I've been here. I remember when it wasn't any hardy traffic on Mark Shuffle. Now we have bumper to bumper on Mark Shuffle. Do the state have any plans of making a loop, like a 225 loop in Southern California to go around the city to help alleviate some of the traffic that we have that's congestion on the main roads, Academy, Powers, and Mark Shuffle?
Hi, Al. This is Shane. Hey, thank you for that call or that question. Appreciate your time tonight. For Colorado Springs and our state highway system, Powers Corridor is a part of our state highway system, and we do have an environmental document and a planning document that does talk about an express and freeway section connection. But definitely funding is a challenge along that corridor, and as well as just in construction in general. And so there is, I wouldn't say it's going to be similar to 225 or any of the Denver metro area circular routes, but there is some ideas and some planning efforts going forward on the Powers Corridor. Regarding Mark Shuffle, that's more of a county and city effort, and so I definitely contact them and see if you have any questions regarding that. Thank you.
Okay, Gary, you're next. Go ahead.
Yeah, this is Gary Nelson. The reason for my call is I was looking to see what the plans are for the expansion of the Powers Boulevard up to I-25 and what the expected end date of that would be.
Hi, Gary. This is Shane. Hey, I believe you're probably speaking of the I-25 connection to the Powers Corridor, State Highway 21 area. So right now, if those that are not familiar with the Powers Corridors, State Highway 21 essentially terminates at State Highway 83. And then those that are familiar with the area, we built a small section from I-25 to Voyager on the north end with the idea that there will be a connection between those two areas. Right now, the city of Colorado Springs is leading and funding that through PPRTA to build the connection between Powers and Voyager and our Quest area. And so Colorado Springs is leading that effort, but CDOT's definitely working in collaboration and working in and assisting and overseeing and seeing the design as it's moving forward.
Okay, again, *3 to get in the queue. Let's hear from Nick next. Go ahead, Nick. Nick, go ahead.
Hi. I was just wondering what the plans were for dealing with the growth. I mean, all over the state. For my job, I drive from Colorado Springs to past Denver and all the way out to Gunnison, and I'm just everywhere has such volume. Excuse me. No matter when I'm on the roads, and I'm just wondering if there's a plan or an idea in place for dealing with all that.
Thank you. That's a really great question. And, I think that's a question that a lot of our communities and citizens are dealing with. I can speak for the city of Colorado Springs right now specifically, because there is tremendous growth. You have a tremendous growth in population, and a real issue in that is the issue of housing affordability. So that tends to expand housing opportunities out into further areas, stressing our local infrastructure. So from a CDOT perspective, we can't control the growth of the municipalities necessarily, and I think that's why you'll see there's been real emphasis from the state on trying to incentivize things like transit-oriented development so that there's more housing near transit opportunities. But a lot of the growth challenges lie with the local municipalities. So you're seeing some annexations and disputes in some communities about local annexations because of both all kinds of resources being stretched, not just our roads, but also water. So I think it's a really great question, and I think from a state level, I think the General Assembly has been trying to pass statewide rules that try to increase housing density to drive populations back into our community centers. But from a CDOT standpoint, there's not a lot we can do because a lot of those decisions lie at the local level. But it is a really great question.
And I know lots of you have really great questions also, so please press *3 to get in the queue. We're going to go to Brian next. Go right ahead.
Hello, this is Brian. I'm a truck driver here in Colorado, and I'm noticing with the express lanes, the toll roads that travel through town, that the bottlenecks that they're creating, when tolls were waived and everybody was allowed to use all lanes, the traffic was substantially less, and the bottlenecks weren't that bad. Now they have everybody into the right-hand side and the left-hand lanes, the bottlenecks. The people rush ahead, and then those lanes end. And I think that the merger lanes at the end of those toll roads need to be extended further out and get them outside of the major traffic areas, and that way we can alleviate all these bottlenecks with all these people jumping.
Herman, do you want to address this?
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Roger. I appreciate the question, and it's true that toll roads, express lanes aren't the right solution in every place. But one thing that we've seen at CDOT is if we build a general purpose lane, particularly on interstates, they just fill up so quickly. The T-Rex project up in South Denver, we built that, and very quickly it was as if we didn't have that lane there anymore. What the express lanes do give us, though, is that opportunity for a reliable travel trip. If you're heading to the game, you're going to the Renaissance Festival, you need to get your kids picked up on time at daycare so you don't get a penalty from them. You can spend a couple extra dollars and you have that reliable trip travel time. So we're going to take your comments and take a look at your suggestions, but we do think that in certain areas, express lanes just make a lot of sense for that reliable travel time.
Thanks, Herman. Let's hear from David next. Go ahead.
Yes, my question is concerning Colorado 115 between Colorado Springs and Penrose. The northern end was done beautifully, and I'm concerned that the southern end is going to be done.
Hi, David. This is Shane. Yeah, thank you for that call. We've got a couple of projects that we're finishing up the one that you're speaking of, which was on the north end of 115, and then through town we're getting ready to start a paving project, as well as just some additional curb and gutter work along that piece of downtown 115. I know exactly where you're talking about. In fact, I drove that corridor just recently, and definitely on my radar to put that on the next round of projects as soon as we can. I think you're speaking of basically the concrete section north of Penrose all the way up to what was just finished, and so very, very well aware of that area, and definitely on my radar to try to get that section of our highway improved and paved, hopefully in the near future. Currently, we do not have any funding identified for that project in that area, but we're definitely looking currently to try to get that project addressed. Thank you, David.
Thank you. Let's take a break and ask one final polling question. Remember, to participate, all you have to do is use your telephone keypad to enter the number of your response. So here's that question. Of CDOT's three main priorities, areas discussed tonight, three priority areas discussed, what do you think CDOT's top priorities should be? So we've talked about these three. What's the top priority? Press 1 for fixing our roads. Press 2 for advancing transportation safety, and press 3 for sustainably increasing transportation choice. So 1 for fixing our roads, 2 for advancing transportation safety, and 3 for sustainably increasing transportation choice. Press your answer, and we'll share the results with you at the end of the call. And again, press star 3 to get in the queue, because we're going to get back to questions right now. Valerie, you're next. Go ahead.
Hi, yeah. Thanks for hosting this tonight. So I just had a question. Right now, it feels it's overwhelming and it causes a lot of disruption. I was wondering if you could explain how these problems better coordinate with efforts.
You're breaking up a little bit, Valerie. So I did. Shane, did you get the gist of her question, or Hannah? Go ahead.
Yeah, thank you, Valerie. Thank you for calling, and thank you for that great question. And you're right. There are a lot of projects that around the state and a lot of priorities. So just to kind of walk you through how we prioritize projects, we really go from worst to first on our asset projects, so by those in worst condition. For capital projects, we work with local agency partners, so our metropolitan planning organizations and transportation planning regions. Those are the MPOs and TPRs. We really rely on them to help prioritize projects as well. In urban areas, we meet with various local transportation planners and public officials on a monthly basis, and on our rural areas on a quarterly basis. So we're constantly in conversations with our local partners to help understand the priorities in their areas. So these are all public meetings, so anyone can attend, and then every 5 years we update our long-range plan, which we're currently wrapping up the 2050 long-range plan, and you're correct, it can be overwhelming, and that's why you kind of just have to start like you would with any other prioritization project of like what's in the worst condition that we need to address, and then leaning on those local partners who know their regions the best to help us put things kind of in order. But we all wish that there was more funding so that we could cover more area. Thank you again for your question.
Thank you. Great question. Cullum, you're next. Go ahead.
Hi, yeah. I'd like to thank you guys for all the work that you've been doing for bicycle and pedestrian connectivity around the Pikes Peak region, especially the pedestrian connections along Highway 24. But kind of related to that, I'd like to ask you if you have any specific priorities or projects to address the issue that these large highways cause as barriers to pedestrian and bicycle connectivity throughout our city, such as Powers and Highway 24. These are large highways that are very difficult and dangerous to cross. So I'd like to hear how you're trying to make that connection and make it safer for people of all modes to get across these large roadways.
Yeah, great question. Thank you for asking this. Yeah, so we're definitely working with a statewide active transportation plan to enhance our biking and walking infrastructure and connectivity across our highways in Colorado. We definitely understand the challenges that our highways present as barriers from time to time, and definitely looking into how we can make those connections a little bit better. As you identified, we had some projects recently on 24, kind of west of town, I believe out there close to 26th lane area, just really improving our connection across that facility with raised sidewalks or raised crosswalks. In addition to that, we do have a transit connection study, which we are currently in development of, where we assist our statewide travel network and create a long-range vision for connection for our transit system across the state of Colorado. So definitely appreciate your call, and thank you for that.
All right, thank you, Shane. We're going to Connie next. Connie, you are live with our audience. Go ahead.
Good evening. Thank you for taking my call. Good evening. Thanks for taking my call. I just, it's probably redundant. So I'm not sure if anybody's asked this, but I would like to know how much of Colorado Springs falls under having a relationship with the PPRTA, I think it's called, in regards to taxing for a relationship to have the roads fixed. And then so many of our politicians, so like this is part two, so many of our politicians run on infrastructure, but in all reality, the roads aren't looking any better, and I think they're getting worse. That anymore we're kind of planning our daily drive route around the potholes. And I'm just wondering, do we have a game plan in regards to fixing the creases and the potholes?
Hi, Connie. Thank you for calling. This is Hannah, and I hear your frustration and totally understand. And so I'm going to address kind of the high-level part of your question on the politicians and how we all work together, because I'm sure it does feel like between Colorado Springs with paying 2C to try to pave roads, and then how the Pikes Peak RTA works. And I do want to just tell you, from a volunteer commissioner standpoint, I can understand how confusing it feels, like you're paying all these things, but it's not coordinated. But I can assure you there is a lot more coordination than you probably understand. So that's one of the functions of the MPOs, our metropolitan planning organizations, and how they really help organize and look at how do we partner with our local municipalities, how do we look at what other funding mechanisms are available, how do we use all those things to leverage funding to then make the projects work, because oftentimes it's your local, regional, and then statewide efforts working together to get some of those things done. So there's probably more coordination than happening behind the scenes, but I understand why it doesn't always feel that way. So I'm going to let Shane answer kind of the more technical question.
Hi, Connie. Yeah, definitely with respect to our potholes and some of the challenges we see out there. Yeah, I mean, our teams definitely look more at the worst to first, trying to take care of some of the ones that are in more high-volume areas and definitely larger, and address those as fast as we can. We also have to balance that with, obviously this time of year where we get our snow plows and out for the weather and addressing our weather concerns. In addition to that, we have a lot of guardrail that's challenging to address and being hit. So we want to be sure that we're balancing our efforts across many of our responsibilities with our maintenance teams. And so definitely appreciate that question. Thank you.
All right, here are the results of our final polling question. We asked, of CDOT's three main priority areas discussed tonight, what do you think CDOT's top priority should be? 56% of you said fixing our roads. 36% said sustainably increasing transportation choices, and 9% said advancing transportation safety. We very much appreciate your input, and we're going to get back to more questions. Anna, you're next. Go ahead.
Hi. I appreciate everything you guys are doing. Last thing I wanted to ask, to get involved with our local municipalities, what do you recommend? And thank you.
Hi, Anna. That's a really good question, and I'm really glad you're looking at ways to get involved on a local level, because I think that's often where you can have the most impact and where local leaders are looking for input. So there are a number of ways, and if I were going to tell you kind of one place to really look at where you can get the most information and how to engage on different types of transportation projects, it would be at your MPO level. So if you're in Colorado Springs, for example, or even in the region, the Pikes Peak Area Council of Governments is really the coordinator of all the local planning and coordinator, to where if you wanted to, you can, all those meetings are public. So if you were going to sit in on an MPO meeting, for example, then you could learn, for example, what is Colorado Springs or whatever respective municipality is doing on their transit plan, or what's their project priority list. And then from there you can find out who is the appropriate elected leader. Is it a city leader? Is it a county? Is it a city project? Is it a state project? So I think those are really good resources for helping you see how you might engage and where you're going to have the highest impact. And I think they would welcome your participation. So thank you for thinking about that.
If you have opinions, and we want your opinions, we have a full survey questionnaire on our website. You can access that and answer those questions at tinyurl.cc, tinyurl.cc/CDOT, CDOT, YTP for your transportation plan 2025. So tinyurl.cc /CDOT, YTP, your transportation plan 2025. We'd love your input on the rest of our questions. So let's get back to questions and hear from Angela next. Go ahead. Looks like Angela dropped off, so we missed her. Let's go to Jerry next. Go ahead.
Well, I welcome the opportunity to bring my concerns to you. It's concerning construction areas. Sometimes at night, the workers, I know they need the light, but they don't need to be shining into the driver's car itself. Is there any way they can lower the light and still get the construction done, or add more lights? And along with that, the police vehicles that are alongside the road, whether construction or pulling someone over, the intensity of their lights is like drawing a moth to a light or to a flame, and that could cause a lot of disturbance. I know when I go through traffic, and if you got the bright lights on high intensity, it doesn't really help because I'm blinded by when I go by it. And also, the merging of traffic lanes and construction zones, they need to be monitored a little bit better. And the cones that are set up, sometimes they're just too long, and sometimes they're set up and nobody's working.
Hi, Jerry. This is Shane. Hey, thank you for these questions. With respect to the lights and the workers out there, it's definitely paramount that our traveling public take notice and slow down through our work zones. I can understand the challenges of those bright lights, but definitely when it comes to our workers out on the side of the roads, they definitely need to be able to see well. Those sites are very, very dangerous. When it comes to our police enforcement and the lights that they have at pulling individuals over, it can be blinding from time to time. I do understand that, but again, it is definitely paramount that our police officers are very visible to the traveling public as they are getting out of their vehicles and walking alongside the highway to the traveling public to address an issue. When it comes to the cones and the length of those tapers that you're referring to, we definitely have federal guidelines that we have to abide by whenever we're setting those up. It's based off of speed and other factors that really determine how we set those construction zones and how we set those construction areas up. So definitely appreciate that question. Thank you, Jerry.
All right, we're going back to Angela. I'm not sure what happened, but thank you for getting back in the queue. You are live. Go right ahead.
Can you hear me? Hello?
We can. Go ahead.
Okay, great. My question, first of all, thanks for your time this evening. My question is in regards to the rising popularity of electric vehicles on the roads, being that they're heavier and not participating in the fuel tax. Are there any plans to alleviate that burden that now the gas vehicles cover?
Yeah, Angela, thanks for the question. And you don't know how timely it actually is. But first, I'll tell you that in Colorado, electric vehicle owners already pay an annual fee in addition to their regular registration fees. The fee is $57.19 for the current fiscal year, and it includes an inflationary adjustment. There's also a road usage equalization fee, they call it, which is $12 for all electric vehicles and $8 for plug-in hybrid vehicles, also this current fiscal year. But what's interesting is the Congressional House Transportation and Infrastructure Chairman announced today that he is going to try to do the same thing that Colorado is doing and increase or create a fee at the federal level for electric and hybrid vehicles. So we've already taken that step here in Colorado, and looks like there's a chance Congress will take that step later.
All right. We're going to go back to Nick. He's got another question. Go ahead.
Well, I thank you for your time again. I was wondering if there was any idea or possibility of doing another app or something like the pothole app we had before, but something to where we could identify new problems potentially, or problems that are worse.
Hi, Nick.
By an app or something such as that.
Yeah, hi, Nick. Hey, Shane speaking. Hey, I believe the app that you referred to was definitely with the city of Colorado Springs. Here with CDOT, we have a customer service line in each of our areas. So if you will, visit CDOT and search for our customer service. And the phone number for this district in this area is 719-562-5568. Again, that is 719-562-5568. Thank you.
Shane, we've had a lot of good questions tonight so far. I've got a question. Why does Colorado need a 2050 statewide transportation plan?
Thank you. I appreciate that question. So, yeah, as we are looking forward, our transportation planning is a deliberate and thoughtful and structured process just to help make the best decisions for Colorado's traveling public. CDOT, in close coordination with a wide range of stakeholders, plans for the future investment so that the best solutions for our transportation problems can be identified. CDOT's plans are performance-based. This ensures that the Colorado transportation system continues to prioritize increasing transportation safety, fixing our roads, and sustainably increasing our transportation choice.
Hannah, how people have asked a lot of questions, and I'm hoping to go online and provide input on our survey. How does their involvement make a difference?
Yeah, thank you, Roger. That's a great question. CDOT really seeks a lot of public participation in this planning process to identify the transportation needs and desires of the public and ensure taxpayer dollars are being used effectively to deliver on those needs and efficiently. So public feedback is used to develop goals, to prioritize funding, to deliver a transportation system that addresses the needs of all Coloradans. So we definitely want to involve more public participation, and we really encourage all of you out there, whether we've been able to reach your question or not, to go in and fill out that survey, because we really do want to hear what you have to say. So please do get involved.
Herman, we're talking about 2050, but these plans happen regularly. How does CDOT track progress on these 10-year plans?
Yeah, great question. CDOT maintains and updates progress on our 10-year plan by way of quarterly reports and a CDOT accountability dashboard on our website. The accountability dashboard provides project expenditure information at the statewide and at the CDOT engineering levels. The 10-year plan quarterly reports provide the most up-to-date project status and funding for Colorado's statewide list of priority transportation projects. So you just go to CDOT's website and type in 10-year plan, and you can find the information there.
All right. I think we are going to ask one more question, and maybe any of you can answer that. Now, once you've got all of this information that's come in from the public, how is the data used in decision-making?
Yeah, that's a great question. So CDOT uses the data-based approach in the decision-making process to ensure that long-range plans address the current needs of the transportation system and prepare the state for future trends. CDOT regularly collects data on transportation infrastructure conditions and models future transportation demands to prioritize projects that will serve the public far into the future. CDOT has developed a 2050 long-range transportation plan visualizer, or a data visualizer, to allow the wide variety of data analysis and information to be for transportation planning. All right, thank you.
Thank you. We have time for one more question, and then we'll do some wrap-up. Kyle, go ahead. You're live.
Yeah, my name's Kyle, and I believe this question is going to be more for Hannah. About the Highway 67 North project and the project from Woodland Park to Florescent on Highway 24. Updates on that and everything like that. And then the last thing I got to say before I finish my question, this is more of a comment. The contractors that you use, the flaggers, I'm in a municipality. I know how flagging works. The contractors are not good at all at flagging. They are against regulation. I don't know if you guys send a person out to watch these flaggers, but there's been a couple times that cars have gotten very close. So I will reiterate, my question is the rural areas, Highway 67 North, westbound 24, and then the contractors you guys use.
All right, Kyle, this is Shane. Thank you for that question. Yeah, on 67 North off Highway 24, it's a resurfacing project for the first half mile from Evergreen to Heights to the county road. That work is expected probably later in the summer, and currently is really started to begin on that reconstruction of that half mile. There are some drainage projects along that area too that we're going to address from Evergreen Heights County Road to Stone Ridge, as well as auxiliary lane improvements just to improve our safety and operations along that corridor. You know, as far as 24 out west that you're referring to, a surface treatment project, I think we're looking at starting that again this summer and addressing kind of that surface treatment area for that area. And with respect to the flaggers and our construction projects, yep, absolutely. There's some challenges that we have from time to time, but we do have a lot of our staff out there just monitoring and working with the contractors to ensure that the construction zones are set up safely and addressed. Thank you.
Shane, while you're on the line, can you take about a minute and briefly discuss other region happenings and accomplishments before we drop off?
Yeah, absolutely. I'd like to talk about our military access, mobility, and safety improvement project that we just completed on Highway 25, as well as some of the other projects associated with that mindset project. The Highway 25 component is from Santa Fe Drive to South Academy Boulevard. You know, we installed and rehabilitated the paving along that corridor with concrete pavement. We installed new concrete median barrier along that 7.5 mile stretch of I-25. We also replaced the bridges that were I-25 over South Academy, as well as additional bridges along that corridor we widened and rehabilitated. But in addition to that project, there was a collaborative effort with other projects on Colorado Highway 94, out towards Peterson Air Force Base, as well as Charter Oaks Ranch Road with the partnership with El Paso County, as well as some work that's going on South Academy Boulevard and widening in that area. And so it's a great effort in collaboration and coordination with El Paso County and our military partners. We're very excited about how the projects have turned out. The one on 94 was signalized jug handle that we installed, as well as some passing lanes, and Charter Oaks Ranch Road was roundabout installed there at Gate 19. And doing some widening along South Academy Boulevard. So with that said, that is one of our proud projects just recently completed, and I'll go ahead and turn it back over.
Thank you, Shane. This is Hannah Parsons. And again, I'd just like to thank all the participants tonight. This has been a really helpful conversation, and whether we got to your question or not in the list, we do have the list of questions, and we'll continue to try to make sure we answer questions and prioritize your concerns in all of our public communications. So we appreciate you taking time to provide us with the valuable input that will guide our efforts moving forward. And again, this telephone town hall was all about listening to you and will result in further identifying the unique transportation needs of this area. So thank you again for that, and also don't forget to provide further feedback directly to us, and you can do that by visiting the website yourtransportationplan.com. Is that correct, Roger? Okay, thank you.
All right. Thank you, Commissioner. We're sorry if we didn't get to your question tonight, but you can still leave us a message, question, or comment. Just stay on the line. You'll be directed to a voicemail system. On behalf of Commissioner Parsons, Director Ferguson, our panelists tonight, and the hardworking public servants at CDOT, thank you for taking part in this event. Please drive safely and have a great evening.